Welcome to the Age of Motocross. I'm your host, Jim Chamberlain, and I bet you didn't realize that to start motocross, you needed nothing more than a bicycle. On today's show, we'll be talking to a store owner who specializes in that very special bicycle that you can take to stardom in a motocross career. Next, we'll be looking at a brand new facility within the Bathurst city limits for all you BMX stars rising in this world. And finally, we're going to take an opportunity to introduce ourselves to a young man who, unknown to him, will be getting his first motorcycle. Stick around. We're here at Bathurst's first ever BMX, that's bicycle motocross track, and as you can see behind me, there's many kids enjoying the excitement of the initial stages of motocross. Why do I call it the initial stages of motocross? Simply because of the fact that although there's no engines, they learn how to jump. One little young fella here learned how to fall, which is all part of the sport of motocross. So this is where it all begins. We get the kids here on their bicycles and then they want to go up a little bit more. They want to jump a little bit higher. They want to clear bigger gaps. And then they want to learn a little bit of control, where to land, how to land properly. That's the beginning of motocross. And at some point, some of these kids start to move into the motocross world. They get themselves a motorcycle. Usually it's a trail bike, which is not as high powered as your typical motocross bike. And at that point they learn, again, throttle control, they learn how to handle it, they learn how to shift gears, and then the process of moving up towards a full-fledged motocross bike is already assisted by the knowledge of how they jump. Now this is one of the first jumps that they're taking on our small track here. It's roughly 5 feet in the air, and as you can see, many of the kids will try to gap the jump, try to land on the downhill, and that's something that we do in motocross as well. We try to clear the jump, we try to land on what they call the downhill as opposed to the flat landing. They have to prepare themselves for the next obstacle. No difference in motocross, they prepare themselves for the next obstacle. Downhill landing, and that's the beginning of motocross. The track is designed to have different runs at it. For instance, what we're looking at here, this beginning part here, this is the more advanced drivers, the kids who have a little bit more command of how to drive a bicycle. You can see they're getting a lot more air. This is a bigger section of the track with bigger jumps. As we move towards the other section over here, the jumps are a little bit smaller and they're made for kids maybe with a little less experience and who just want to see what it feels like to go over BMX jumps and such. And all the jumps are followed by corners, so they have a chance to rail, as they call it, rail around the corner. You'll see this fellow going around. And this is railing a corner. They can go at different speeds. That's all part of the sport of motocross as well as BMX. We're here in Nigadoo, New Brunswick at Centre Cyclisme de Sport, and we're looking at a line of motocross before motocross actually gets started. And I'm with Roger Roy here, the owner of the store, and we're talking about where many, including myself, many old motocrossers and young motocrossers begin their career with BMX or bicycle motocross, and we have a line of bicycles in front of us. Roger, first tell me what separates a normal bicycle from these bicycles here.
From a normal bicycle, these are the BMX style, and they're single speed.
Yes.
So they have only one speed, and some of them come in with a smaller sprocket in the front.
What's the purpose of the small sprocket?
It's for doing tricks, it's not in the way, so obviously they have a smaller one in the front and a smaller, even smaller one in the back, so it kind of calibrates with the same number. Yep.
Okay. So the bike themselves, like the quality in terms of when you look at the bike, I do notice, and it's been a long while since I've looked at BMX, but I do notice the frames are quite different.
Yeah, the frames are quite lighter and they're smaller. Okay, and what also makes the bike a little bit better is they have a better crank, better wheel. In the wheel, there could be regular bearing or seal bearing, better quality bearings too.
Okay.
Yes.
So these bikes in particular, like I noticed, is quite a selection of price line. What separates a lower end bike from a higher end bike in terms of cost? What's the difference?
I would say roughly around $350 to $400, up to $700 to $800. That would be the average price of a medium bike to do the jumps and tricks. They
now,
do.
what's in the $800 bike that might not be in the $300 bike?
Yeah, well, there's not from $300 to $800. There's a big difference there. It's, I would say, probably is the stiffness of the strength of the bike that would be a lot stronger.
Okay.
To absorb the shock and oh yes.
So all of these bikes are designed, although they don't have suspension, they are designed to be on a particular BMX track. And we have one in Bathurst that is in operation, and we hope our youth get out and enjoy an opportunity on the track. I'm here at West End Sports in Beresford, New Brunswick, and I'm talking with Stéphane Gauthier. Hi, Stéphane. Welcome to our show.
How you doing, Jimmy?
We are old motocrossers. We go way back, and I must say that I was always faster than Stéphane, but maybe he won't admit that. But Stéphane and I go way back in the motocross world, and I'm glad to have him here on our show. I want to talk a little bit about what Stéphane's doing in motocross right now. Stéphane has a company which is called Adrenaline, Pure Adrenaline MX, and I'll ask Stéphane to describe what that is.
Yeah, actually it's Pure Adrenaline Production.
Okay.
And Pure Adrenaline Production's got a few, we are track owners.
Yes.
I am a team owner, and I have two different type of team. I have an MX team, so it's racing, motocross racing, and we have another team, and it's FMX, Pure Adrenaline FMX, so it's freestyle motocross. Okay. So freestyle motocross is jumping and doing tricks off the bike, in the air, doing backflips and stuff like that.
That seems to be the newest trend in the world of motocross. There's a lot of people going into the freestyle, and there's a lot of competitions all over the world. The X Games,
Red Bull X Fighters and stuff.
Yeah, you see that all over the world. Tell me a little bit about who's on that team.
That team? We have our main riders, like I'll say, like our biggest riders. It's Steel Cutter.
Yes.
And he's from Quebec, and he's the only one to perform like a lot of upside down tricks in Canada right now. And we also have Geoff Gaskin. Geoff he's from Montreal also, and they're on all the West End Sports Yamaha team. And we have Reed Broadhurst. He's from Ontario, and those are my three main guys for 2014. We had more guys in the past, and we didn't have enough job for all those guys, so I'm concentrating myself on the few riders now. And on the MX part, we have Mr. Hendy Matthew.
Yes. And
it's a pro motocross racer from the States who did some AMA racing in the States and stuff. AMA Supercross, motocross.
For those that don't know what AMA is, that's the American equivalent of the CMRC here in Canada. I must say it's the creme de la creme of motocross racing, and to have someone on your team who's been competitive in the AMA is certainly a feather in your hat.
He had a number 53 in AMA in the States outdoors, so if you're top 100 in the States, you're pretty much top 100 in the world. So
no question.
And he's not riding the number 6 in the Supercross Quebec series this year, and we finished second in the championship with him last year. And we also have another team member. He's from Dundee, New Brunswick. Okay. Shane Ganna has been around the shop and around the racing in northern Brunswick for a while, and he's really, really fast. All the American guys call him Hurricane. Yes. Hurricane Shane. So He wants to pass you like an hurricane, so he's really fast, and he's on team for 3 years now.
Well, it's interesting that you have the Shangri-La of motocross world with a track right in your backyard, and certainly there's a lot of us that would like to have that opportunity. But I have to thank you, being in the sport for so long. I see the growth in our area, and I think it's all to do with you and the owner of this facility, who have stepped up and realized that there is a market that is untapped. And without people like you in this business, this market wouldn't be tapped. And we see, looking around in the store, you can certainly see, again, I mentioned to the producer of this program that years ago I could never actually physically touch any motocross apparel. I had to look at it online, or I had to look at it in a catalog and order it from there. And now you walk into places like West End here, and you have racks upon racks of motorcycle gear that you can actually, as they say, kick the tires and see what it's all about. The same thing goes with bikes. You notice in our background we have 2 bikes here, and there were a lot more at the earlier part of the year. If we would back up 5 years, it was highly unlikely that you saw a motocross biker on the showroom floor. It all came down to seeing them in magazines and ordering them from that point of view. And this is certainly where guys like Stefan and West End Sports in general that have really taken a chance and pushed this sport to a new level. And I hope this level continues to grow and grow and grow. Now let's take a look at the world of accessories in BMX. When you got your perfect BMX bike and you're ready to hit the trails or the track, you still want to look good. You want to make sure that you have that bling that nobody else has. And in order to get the bling, you want to start out with tires. So I see we have a variety of tires that they make for these bikes. What do you suppose, is there a reason for the color, or is it just sort of just style alone?
I think that the different color is to maybe customize to your bike, and accessories more match everything, and
with whatever color
yeah
pattern you're going with. Now,
yes.
I don't know if the color, I think maybe this pink here would be something that Brian Kenny would go with. I'm not sure, but that certainly is, with the variety of colors we see here, you can make your bike look at any way you want to look, starting with the tires. Now let's move up a little bit, just a little bit. I see we have a variety of pedals, first of all, and the pedals have all sorts of different forms, from plastic to chopper design to colors. What are kids looking at when they come in to look at pedals?
Some of them prefer more the plastic one, some of them prefer more the metal one, and the metal one would have like bigger grips.
So your foot doesn't slide off
of it. Yeah, it doesn't slide, so yeah.
And I see you have grip tape and things, handlebar tape, in order to customize again.
No.
Now in motocross, we actually glue the grips on. Do these, some of these grips, is that how you do it in BMX?
The BMX, no, we don't glue them, but they kind of stick there. But if it's not enough, then you could buy the one with the locking system.
Okay, with the locking system.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Now going back a little bit here, I noticed just like in motocross, we have gloves that the BMXer will use. Tell me a little bit about this style of glove.
Basically, a BMX glove is a full finger and has a little bit of padding inside, and to help to protect also for the grip, and protect if he falls down, take a flip.
And I notice in the back there's a little bit of padding. Maybe rocks are coming up from something.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
could be
a little bit smaller than a motocross in terms of padding, but certainly has the same look.
Yeah.
So if you want your son or daughter to be fully equipped, this is the place to visit, and these are some of the gadgets you should be looking at to look cool out there on that BMX track. On this week's Tech Talk, we're going to be looking at race sag, why you need it, and how you can fix for it. Welcome to Tech Talk. First thing I need to talk about today is this gadget. This is not a motorcycle tool. Throw this as far away as you can. Throw it at your competitor if you want to. This is not a motorcycle tool. The bikes that we're working on all have specialty tools that you can buy at any store, tool kits anywhere, that will work much better than this gadget. You have to remember the bikes that we're looking at today all have specialty bolts which are extra light, which means things like this destroy your bike. So let's get rid of that right now. At this point, we're going to look at the first thing that people neglect to look at when they're working on their motorcycles. And what we call it race sag. When these bikes come out of the factories, they're set up for an average driver of an average size and average speed. Does that mean you? No, we're all unique. So we drive differently, we weigh more, less, some of us weigh more, and we drive at different facilities, we drive at rougher tracks, easier tracks. So we need to set this bike, setting it up for us, and we call it race sag. And the first thing we need to do is we need to measure. Trusty measuring tape. I'm going to the back end of this bike, and I'm going to find 2 locations because I need to measure it twice. So let's just say I'm going to put it from the fender here, sort of visualize where I am, measure down to the top of the lug nut. And we typically measure in millimeters. Remember, we're Canadian here, so we're going to measure in millimeters. So we have a particular measurement. Now, every bike is different. So we're looking at seeing what we can get for sag with the rider on it. So it's step 1, while the bike is on the stand, find a point on the fender, measure down to some point that you're going to remember, and write the number down. That's step 1. This is called, basically, is the bike on the stand. So I'm going to ask my trusty assistant to take his bike off the stand here. And I'm going to ask him to get on his bike. Now at this point, we normally ask the rider to be in full gear, to have his boots on and his gear on. Now I go back to the measurement again. And I find my location, and I measure down, and I take the measurement as well. What I'm looking for is a difference in my first measurement to my second measurement of 100 millimeters, roughly 10 centimeters, not very much, but a 100 millimeters. Now, is that going to be perfect? Is this bike perfectly set up for the rider? Well, when we measure and we see the difference, maybe it says 80 millimeters. Maybe it says 60 millimeters. So we have to make some adjustments. And the next bit of tools comes into play for some adjustments here. Now I'm going to ask him to just put his leg up here. And what you have here, a difficult thing to see, is your back shock. Now, there are 2 lug nuts on your shock. The first one is called the locking lug nut. So I will take my trusty hammer, that's a valuable tool, and I will take my screwdriver, and I will loosen up the lock nut. Then I will start adjusting the second lock nut. If I need to create more sag, I will loosen it. If I need to create less sag, I will tighten it. Once I have it 3 or 4 turns, I will go back to my trusty tape measure, and I will measure again. My ideal starting point is 100 millimeters. Once I have the ideal point, I will come here, I will go to the lock nut, and I will tighten it so that it locks down. Many riders neglect to set their race sag, and they wonder why their bike becomes a bucking bronco on the track. One of the things that has always been a pet peeve for me is the fact that I see so many young riders take their bikes and look for all sorts of hop-up parts to make it go faster. Well, how good would your bike be if your back tire is seldom on the ground because your suspension's not set properly? Now, I gave you a very brief description of how this is done. Refer to that strange book that you get with your bike called the Owner's Manual. You'll be surprised what it can tell you. After this short break, a young man is going to get the surprise of his life. Picture this. You text your dad over 100 times, I want a bike, I want a bike, I want a bike. And you show up one day thinking you're helping your favorite uncle with a filming project. Watch the results. focus on something a little bit different. We're not going to focus on riding bikes, but on something that brings a tear to every kid's eyes, the big smile that you get at Christmas when they get their first bike. Now we have a little surprise here for a relative of mine whose dad just purchased a brand new motorcycle for him. And we're going to set something up here today so that when he arrives, he's unaware of this. We're going to introduce him to his brand new motorcycle. Let me set us up as to what's coming. So as you can see, I have this little bundle of material behind our motorcycle, and under it is a brand new bike for this lucky young man who has no idea what's about to happen. Stay tuned. Come on in. Good. Yeah, just come stand behind the bike here. We're here with my nephew, Keegan Levigny as he's known in Ontario. And Keegan had the opportunity to go to a motorcycle race last week and really enjoyed what he saw. What did you think of motocross?
It seems really fun.
It was lots of fun, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to try.
You'd like to try? That's an interesting question. Keegan says he'd like to try motocross. Well, that's interesting. So we're going to walk backwards a little bit. Back up with me. Keep backing up. Little cod here. Okay. I want to show you something that we're going to try today. And this is your new motorcycle. What do you think? Have a seat. All those text messages you sent to Dad, well, there's the result. What do you think?
I love it.
What do you like about it?
I don't know, I love it.
You got a clutch. That's going to be something new to drive. You got no comment? I thought you'd have a bigger smile and bigger comment.
I'm speechless.
You're speechless. That's pretty good. So there's your CRF small wheel 125, a good starter bike to get you onto the motorcycle tracks. And there you have it, what it's like to get a brand new motorcycle. And we're going to go out here and test ride in a few minutes. That was our show for today. I hope you enjoyed our look at the wacky world of BMX, at the accessories and the bikes that are in that sport. And I hope you enjoyed the surprise that young man had on his face. Don't forget our Tech Talk on Race Sag. I'm Jim Chamberlain, your host, and don't forget, if you rest, you rust, but pin it